Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have special guest Trenton Hudson. Now, Trenton is an entrepreneur, producer, and comedian. He has worked on cartoons with Comedy Central, Showtime, and LOL Network. He also has a coffee company that makes a healthy alternative from date seeds. Oh, that sounds interesting. I may need some of that. All right. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Trenton.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Sheila. It's my pleasure.
Yes, and I'd like to start off. This show actually came about based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last almost 2 years now, we have had every situation and then some. So I'd love for you to share with the audience a time in your business or personal life where you experienced a tough situation and how you got back on track.
There's a handful of things I could jump to, but I think you mentioning the way things have been the last year and a half kind of really triggers something for me. So during the pandemic, everyone was kind of going through their own personal struggle with this, and so for me during the pandemic, everyone I knew, all my family, all my friends were either dating somebody or married or in a relationship. And for me, I was going through the pandemic like single. So I wasn't like talking to anyone, no dating, no nothing, like none of that typical human contact that we're used to having. So I think that is in recent memory anyway, that's probably the toughest thing that I've had to deal with, definitely, and like probably the toughest thing I've dealt with in the last 10 years. And to be a little vulnerable here, there were even moments where I just like broke down crying and talking. I was on the phone with one of my friends one time trying to explain what I'm going through, and I just like kind of lost it a little bit. And the way I bounced back was, well let me also say, I was having really bad anxiety through it. There was a moment, there was probably a 3 or 4 week phase where I was barely sleeping, like sleeping a few hours a night, sleeping from like midnight, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. and just couldn't get a good night's sleep for anything. And the way I bounced back was just a lot of digging into my own kind of personal experience and trying to figure things out and figure out who I really am at my core. And you got to kind of, or I had to anyway, really figure out who I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, and just try to form solid habits. And really, I'll say that it was good for me in so many ways, because I was forced into this phase of personal growth that now I'm at a point in my life where I'm not attached to anything, any idea, any person, like anything at all. And I feel so solid. I have this foundation of who I am, and I know who I am. And I'd say that was the toughest thing I've had to deal with in a while. But yeah, it was tough to climb out, but it was great for me. And, now I was also in this phase of, I used to be a night owl, right? So I would always go to bed at 3, 4 a.m. and get up at 11 a.m. And I was kind of in this phase of, I instead of getting up at 11 a.m., I started getting up at 9 a.m. a little bit before the pandemic started. And I was just trying to shift myself into this mode of being a morning person. So that, phase of anxiety that I was going through really catapulted me into that. And it was so great because now I'm a 5 a.m. type of person. I get up at 5 every day. And that made the transition easier. Like, that phase was hard to go through, but now I get up at 5 every day and I love it. Now I can't go back to getting up at 9 or 11 or anything like that, because I gotta get up and meditate. And I like to do Wim Hof breathing techniques after that. And I love doing that in the morning when no one else is up. I have the peace, the solitude, the quiet. So yeah, it was all, part of the plan for my life, I suppose. But it turned out to be, such a blessing in disguise, not only just to get up early and put me, you know, in a position where I'm at now, but also just the personal growth that I had to realize going through that.
Wow, that's so interesting because you described my schedule to a T. So, and during the
Nice.
pandemic, it got so bad that sometimes it was 7 a.m. and I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't gone to sleep yet. Holy smokes!" And so,
Yeah.
and that used to be like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. But then when it became 7 a.m., it became a problem, and so it's been
Yeah.
tough. And I had night jobs as a young girl, 18, 19, 20. So I've always been a night person since then. I kind of got trained to stay awake at night. And
Yeah.
it is something to overcome. Now, did your coffee come about from that, or was that something you had already started?
No, it was actually, you know, I talk about the pandemic being a blessing, and it was a blessing for that too, because before the pandemic, all my time was dedicated to the cartoons and comedy and things like that. And then the pandemic rolls around. I quit doing stand-up comedy. Well, I didn't quit. I put it on a extreme pause, and I was still writing, and I'm still always writing jokes, but I wasn't taking the time to perform because I didn't want to do the online digital shows. And I'm in LA, and you know we've had like a little more strict lockdowns than a lot of other places in the country. So none of the comedy clubs were open for the longest time, and they started to kind of reopen now. But yeah, I didn't want to do the online comedy shows because I like to have the crowd there. You know, I love the energy that people bring whenever they're watching you perform. And so I just really focused on, you know, writing quality jokes, and I didn't write any jokes about the pandemic. I wanted to write really great comedy that'll stand the test of time and people aren't going to be sick of in a year because they're tired of hearing stuff about the pandemic. But yeah, so that allowed me to, I kind of stumbled across the coffee thing on accident, honestly. Um, I'm one of those people, I'm always trying to find ways to, you know, save food products or whatever it is, and not be wasteful, essentially. And I eat a lot of dates, and I was noticed I was throwing away a lot of seeds, and I just kind of wondered, I'm like, there's got to be something I can use these for, because I'm throwing away a ton of these things. And I came across date coffee, and so I started making it for myself, and I got tired of making it for myself, and I wanted to just buy it in the store, but I couldn't really find it. So I kind of saw opportunity there, and I wanted to be able to not only have it for myself, but also offer that to other people who are in similar situations as me. So I have a heart condition, and caffeine gives me chest pain. So I completely cut out caffeine a few years ago, and had really been kind of missing coffee because I love the smell and taste of coffee. It's like such a great part of my morning ritual, you know, and sometimes afternoon, whatever it may be. But I couldn't have it, and so I came up with it's called Korma, is what it's called, Korma, and that's so yeah, Korma date coffee is what the pandemic allowed me to really. It just opened up so much time for me, and not only time from just away from comedy, but also, you know, going and doing whatever it may be, going out to eat or going and watch other comedy shows or going out with friends, whatever. Like all that was kind of stripped away. So it really opened up so much time for me. And I whenever I stumbled across this, you know, the first 3 weeks, I literally came up with the idea on a Monday, and 3 Mondays later, I was selling it. I had an online store built. I had reached out to suppliers and tested products and got packaging and designed my packaging and I built the website myself. And so yeah, that was 3 weeks time where I literally did nothing but just work on this coffee company and try to get it off the ground as much as I could before launch. And I was just hustling like someone else was doing the same thing as me. And like I just had this vision of someone else trying to beat me to what I was trying to do, and I was like, I can't, you know, let someone else beat that. So yeah, the pandemic, it was, you know, a blessing in disguise in a lot of ways, and you know there were ups and downs, but you know so many good things came out of it for me.
Wow. So you serve this coffee hot, so it's a hot date coffee. I love it.
You could cold brew it at home if you like. But yeah, hot date coffee. I like my coffee hot. I'm not a cold brew person.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I know there's a lot of like health properties to dates.
Yeah. Dates are considered a superfood, and so they're ton of fiber, a lot of vitamins, minerals. It's full of antioxidants, so it's great. It's great for your skin. It's great for your digestion. It's actually like dates are great for pregnant women, and I
Mhm.
saw a study about pregnant women who eat. I don't remember what the amount of dates was, but it can help induce a more natural labor, and so things like that. It's like, I did this because I have a heart condition. I actually had a heart attack when I was 20 years old.
Oh, wow.
So, to be able to provide a product that other people, it's helpful for them, or, if they can't have caffeine, or if they just want to cut back or live a healthy lifestyle, I'm not here to convince anyone they shouldn't drink coffee. If you like coffee and like your caffeine, do you. I can't have it. So I'm going to do this.
Right. Yeah, I understand. I have some people in my family that can't have caffeine, and I actually stopped because it
Mm.
was not agreeing with my stomach, the acid or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. In
even
the
the
date
good
coffee.
quality. Yeah,
Yeah. And the date coffee is not acidic like coffee. So it's not going
right.
to give you acid reflux or any kind of issues like that for people who,
Yeah.
may have those kind of issues with their GERD or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and it's really strange because I was a drinker. I mean, only a coffee drinker. I don't drink any alcohol or anything like that, but I was a
Mhm.
serious coffee drinker. And I think over time, it started to like show up
Yeah.
as not agreeing with me. And so the minute I stopped, I was fine. No
That's great.
medication, no nothing, and,
Yeah.
and it's
Nice.
fine. So maybe once in a blue moon, I might have a teeny tiny bit, but not
Yeah.
much. Or I'll do tea instead. If I go to a
Yeah.
coffee shop with friends, I'll just order the
Yeah.
tea,
Yeah.
like a
Same. I
decaf.
love tea, and I
Yeah.
do an occasional coffee every now and again. It's not a never thing, but never more than one cup. And I try not to do it 2 days in a row. It's like maybe if I'm on a long drive and need to stop and get a cup of coffee, that's about it anymore.
Yes, yes. And the dating thing you mentioned, it's been very interesting. And for a lot of, I have 6 children that are all grown in college and above. And some of them have relationships, some of them are not in relationships yet. And it's really kind of hard to have, date when you're on lockdowns, or, you're doing on
Definitely.
demand
Yeah.
college
Yeah.
classes and you're home. I mean, I have a couple home from the universities because the dorms closed down and they still haven't opened up yet. And
Yeah.
so as a mom, I love having my children home, because we get along well, and I'm like happy I could provide a safe place, and why waste money, during this
Yeah.
time when jobs are difficult
Yeah.
to
For
come.
sure.
Yeah. So I love it, but at the same time, it's really hard on us as a society. And I think for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
for the
Definitely.
first time, I
Definitely.
was like, oh yeah, relationships, maybe it is better to get into a committed relationship because you can't date.
You
you
know.
know, it's,
You know.
now it's kind of interesting to me again. Before it was easier just to date. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
So
it's
yeah,
it's
it's an
hard.
interesting time, and it is hard. It's
Yeah.
not easy dealing with this, and honestly, I've been so blessed because I have 4 brothers, and so I'm the middle of 5 boys. No, we were all for a while. All I had a core group on me, so, but August, that was really, you know, I feel when it was like a moment. Um, used to have support, but we out every Sunday, doing thing and not really going other places and being around other people, just us and the so, yeah, I kind of too.
Yeah. It has been quite the time. I definitely agree, and hard, but at least you do have your family to connect with, and that's so
Yeah,
important. I have one daughter, and everybody else is a boy, and so I adopted
mm,
three of my own. So I've got these 6 kids, and we
Yes.
lost my youngest son December 21st, 2019. And so
Oh, I'm
some of the
sorry.
kids moved home. Yeah, it was really hard. And
Yeah.
he had Wolf Parkinson. He had a heart condition also, and
Mm,
it was
gotcha.
just, I don't know. He did a lot,
Yeah.
and it was at grandparents' house and just didn't wake up.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
some of my kids came home, and my daughter said, "Mom, if ever we needed this universal pause for our family, we needed this time. Like we thought
Yeah.
we had time. It's you need more time to be with your family when you have something
Definitely.
happen." And
Absolutely.
now, everybody knows somebody that they've lost or something that's happened that's been something to grieve about. We've all lost our freedoms to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Where the life that we knew, like, I think of when you say LA, I think of the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, and I
Yeah.
would go there
Same.
often. Yeah, and it's like all these connections, we don't have it like we
Yeah.
did. And it's
Yeah.
really hard. It really is. So to connect with our family, with friends, with people that don't have family, especially to check in,
Yeah.
it
Yeah. For
is
sure.
so important. It really makes a difference. I mean, I can remember my experiences with with comedy and how it's really blessed my life and brought so much happiness. I remember flying into London, and I had two friends, platinum partners with the Tony Group, friends. They literally, I was doing a speaking tour, so I finished my speaking and I was going to go rest because I thought I was tired. And they take me out, and the laugh place there, their comedy club was open until like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Nice.
And I had to fly out by 6. So
Oh, okay.
they helped me
A
once
long
we
night.
finished. Then we went out, and I don't know, we somewhere we found food, and then they helped me pack all my stuff and got me on the tube and got me to the get onto the flight on time. But it was the best memory
Yeah.
ever to have these friends. It was Bal and Martin, if you're listening, and they kind of like, they're like, "You're not going to bed. We're gonna go out and have fun." And it
Yeah.
was just so nice and such a good break because I had been working long hours, and so
Hmm.
comedy during this time or any time really, we still need to laugh, and it's
Yeah.
healing. It's a
Yeah.
gift.
Absolutely.
And then I'd love to hear about your cartoons and that work.
Yeah, so the cartoons, that was what I originally moved to Los Angeles for. So my brothers and I, we moved out here 2016. So we started making cartoons on YouTube in 2015, and they got kind of popular and started to build a little following around it, and our views were kind of going up a little bit and steady, and and honestly, like, they weren't that good. We taught ourselves how to animate, and as soon as the animation was good enough, we started producing content.
Mm-hmm.
And but the more we put out, it just got better and better the more we made. So we kind of caught the attention of an assistant in the programming department at Comedy Central. And then we took that cartoon that we were doing on YouTube and we did a development deal with them, and we worked on that with them for 2 years. And then we had a pitch meeting to take it to television. Completely bombed it. Bombed the pitch meeting. Did an absolutely awful job. It was our first pitch. Had no idea what to expect. Got some bad advice from an agent out here that didn't really know what she was talking about, kind of.
Mm.
And so that was actually like another kind of thing that was really tough for us to deal with. Was we kind of had this somewhat unrealistic expectations that we were going to come out here and work on this cartoon for a little bit, and then it's going to be on TV and everything's going to be all hunky dory and beautiful. And we bombed our pitch, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want this." And we kind of had to pivot a little bit, and we started just doing cartoons on the internet again. And then we've been able to work with some great people. We did a little thing with some people over at Showtime, and we did some stuff with Kevin Hart's LOL network. And lately we've been more so focusing on packaging together shows to pitch them to networks again, because we're prepared for that now, because we failed that pitch meeting several years ago, and we've done a lot of work and put in the time and built relationships with a lot of people out here, and we have we have a pitch meeting coming up in 3 weeks with Netflix to pitch one of our shows. And so it's just been a long grind and a long hustle. But it's been so much fun. And, I get to do what I love with the people that I love the most. And it's just perseverance, hard work, and dedication. We taught ourselves to animate. We taught ourselves how to write. Along with when we worked with Comedy Central, that was the best learning experience we could have gotten, because we learned so much from the people that were on our team over there, and they really honed our writing skills so much and just showed us like, this is the proper way to structure this for television and this and that. From so far, and it's just like I said, we taught ourselves how to animate and just started making stuff on YouTube, and just working on this every day, and making the animation look better. I talk about this stuff, our early YouTube stuff, and it's almost unwatchable. Like, I can't stand to go back and watch it now. We leave it up just so we can see how far we've come and kind of let other people see too, see that part of the journey. But we went from making stuff, ugly animation on YouTube, and now everything we make is TV quality. And that's just from working really hard and surrounding ourselves with people that are better than us. I think that's such a big key, is who you surround yourself with. You can get better at something really fast if you put a team around yourself that is already way better than you. So like, we always had to be funny, just because there's 5 of us, me and my brothers. There's 5 of us. There's only 7 years from oldest to youngest, so we're all super close in age. We're all super tight. We're best friends. And, our whole lives, and even now, was just making fun of each other and talking mess to one another and cracking jokes at the other one's expense and being funny. And I think our upbringing and childhood played a big factor in that, because we grew up in a very unconventional home life that was, somewhat broken, and our parents divorced when we were young. And so, comedy was always a coping mechanism for us, and it's stuck, and we always knew how to be funny. We just we just needed to hone the skills to write a script the proper way. And we worked on that, and put ourselves around people who knew how to do that really well. And they showed us more than we ever even thought. It's like they say, you don't know what you don't know until you do it. And that's exactly how it was. Like, we didn't know that we were doing everything kind of wrong. and then we started working with people who were like professionals at this, and it's like, no, you got to do this way and this way, so this hits harder, and the storyline should flow this way, and it'll keep the viewers engaged longer, and it makes it more interesting, and whatever it may be. And it's just hard work, and finding people that are smarter and better than ourselves, and learning as much as we could from them, and just soaking that up, and being humble and understanding that, and which was tough at first, because we thought, like, this our content is funny. Like, we didn't think we knew it all, but we thought, this is a better way to do it versus this way. But then you come to find out, you got to kind of humble yourself and be like, okay, maybe we don't know as much as we think we know, and we should listen to the people who are in the position that we are aspiring to be in. So it's a lot of work, a lot of humility, a lot of, like I said, just putting yourself around people that are better than ourselves at it.
Yeah. Yes.
And now, like,
that's so important. It is. It's so important to have that peer group and mentors, and be humble enough to be like, okay, you know what, I'm ready to learn, and I'm going to go out there and have a lot of learnings and course corrections. It's not like this. You wake up one morning and you're like, I want to go do comedy, or I want to go do cartoons, or I want to go do whatever, and it's a success. It just doesn't happen that way.
No, it doesn't. No. I mean, maybe 1 in a million chance you have someone like Dave Chappelle has been doing stand-up since he was like 13, 14 years old, and he was just like this wonder kid, but I mean, this is a guy who is an anomaly, and is probably, I think a lot of people would say, the best comedian of all time. And he is, in my opinion. I know that's, comedy is such an objective thing, so everyone's got their own favorites. But I mean, just use him as an example of someone who just, sometimes you just have it. But for the rest of us, it's, and not to say that Dave Chappelle doesn't, work his butt off to be as good as he is, because he does. But sometimes you just have it, and he has it. And we have a little something, my brothers and I, like, we're funny, but it's still, it's a ton of work regardless of whatever you want to do. And it's like you said, like we were saying, being humble. And I think once you can admit to yourself that you don't know as much as you think then it gets easier to just stay humble. And because then you just want to learn as much as you can. Like I study so many different TV shows and writers and their style, and I study a ton of different comedians, and I'll sit there and take notes about how to make jokes hit a certain way, whether I'm writing for stand-up comedy or for a script. But yeah, just to you just gotta. So something I always talk about is what I always see, like the great athletes talk about. They always say you got to fall in love with the process of becoming great. So you just have to fall in love with the learning process and understand that if you really want to get better at whatever it is you're doing, it takes so much work and so much tenacity, and such an open mind. You got to just be a sponge and absorb everything you can. And that's what I always try to do. And I love just being around people who are better than me and are already doing the things that I want to do. Even with the coffee, I started this company last October, right? And I'd never done any kind of business for consumer goods or direct to consumer. I'd only produced content and done cartoons and animation and things like that. So, and luckily, whenever I started the coffee, I'd already done other businesses and failed and succeeded. So I knew I didn't go into it with an ounce of arrogance. It was always how can I find people who have done similar things as this, who have done consumer goods, succeeded at their business? What can I learn from them? How can I take what their successes and failures and apply it to mine and learn from that, and just try to learn everything I can? And it's all about just I see people that do what I want to do and then just copy them and change it to suit what I'm doing a little bit. And I think that's such a key thing to do, is just, and maybe not directly copy them, but kind of,
Yeah. And I think really you learn that the audience is going to help you with the course corrections.
Absolutely. 100%. I think, that's such an amazing point. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I see so many people who want to start businesses or whatever it may be, and they're scared to jump in, which is understandable, but they take too long to do it. So I read this book recently. I think it was called Blue Fishing. But he talks about, you just jump in, because exactly what you said about the audience, the market is going to give you your feedback. So someone who's sitting here trying to perfect everything on their own, versus the blue fisher who just puts it out there and lets the market and audience dictate. They've already tried and tested something 10 times before you get started. So even with my coffee, I've changed my packaging 2 or 3 times already. I've pivoted so many times. I've changed everything. The only thing that's the same as before is the recipe. The recipe was the only thing I tested over and over until I got it right, because I didn't want to. I wanted the inside. What's inside the package matters, but the outside package. My first packaging was kind of ugly. Now it's beautiful, and I've changed my website so many times, and I've just changed everything, except the only thing that didn't get changed was the recipe, and everything else. And the logo has stayed the same, but who knows, that may change too. So I think just let the audience tell you what they're looking for and what they like, and just listen to them. And always be open to feedback, and welcome negative feedback. I love when people tell me negative feedback. I'm gonna mute real quick. There's a siren going.
I hear that, and yes, in LA, that's the way it is. It's
LA,
so different.
LA, you know.
Yeah, I know, that's my hometown, and so when I'm home, it's kind of noisy, and I have a special studio, or I have to go to the station live and go in. So that happens. Yeah, that's something about that, about just getting into what you're doing. And I mean, I
Mm,
started my first business 23 years old. I had this gift store, and
mm,
I would pay people to give me, it wasn't secret shoppers because they didn't invent
mm.
that yet. But I guess
Yeah.
I invented it really, but I never got paid for it. But it
Right.
would be
Right.
like,
You
please,
should have
just,
trademarked it forever ago. You'd be
I
so
know,
rich
I was
somehow.
like, just please tell
Everyone does
me,
it.
yeah, tell me what am I missing, because I was there
Yeah.
and I'm looking at it so close, like you can see your hand, but you can't see the perspective that you need or that the
Yeah.
clients
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
feedback, we
Absolutely.
would get feedback from all the clients and make
Mhm.
friends with everyone. And it ended up being a great place. It was a place where I had almost 200 kids went through the foster system. When they emancipate, nobody wants to hire them, so I had a job training program for them,
Mhm.
and then they would get these
Oh,
great
that's
jobs.
awesome.
All this, I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun, but I was so young. I didn't know
Yeah.
any better. I didn't know to be scared.
Mhm.
I didn't know to
Sometimes
that.
that's the best thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but I did know to hire real talent. So like my top
Yeah.
salespeople and the people that trained those kids were people that were probably close to twice my age. I was
Mhm.
23, and they would
Yeah.
tell me, "I
Yeah.
can't believe you're my boss, honey." And now that I'm older, I'm like, yeah, I guess I was a little young, but at the time I thought I was grown up. And it was one of those things. And we ended up having 5 stores, 5,000,
Oh,
4 and
that's
5,000
amazing.
square
Nice.
feet of
Wow.
store. And
Yeah.
one was in Montrose, California, was the first one, and
Mhm.
then Pasadena, and then Sierra Madre, and LA, and Burbank, and
Nice.
that was
Yeah.
my hometown. And then after a while, I think 17 or 18 years, I actually owned all the buildings, paid them off
Nice.
with the store, and
Yeah.
then I just rented them out so that I could travel
Mhm.
the world. And I traveled the world for 7
Nice.
years straight
That's
with my
awesome.
kids along with me, and we had a great
Mhm.
time. But it was such a learning experience, and I was really humbled to let those people that were more talented than me help me. I got
Yeah.
marketing right away, and I
Mhm.
started making 10 times what I was making. I
Yeah.
changed everything I offered, because a
Mhm.
23-year-old doesn't have the same taste as the people in the community, which was a
Right.
Montreux Block and Yada. That's like a retirement kind of community, like older
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
time. And it's different now, but back then
Yeah.
it was different. And so I had to play like Frank Sinatra in one store and
Mhm.
those kind of songs.
Yeah.
Another store, like my Sierra Madre, was more like Enya, and even the
Mhm.
music, the
Yeah.
everything, the atmosphere, the music, everything had a certain flair based on that audience or those
Yeah.
clients. And
Yeah.
they became our family,
Mhm.
so it's something that we had a lot of laughs too.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
so many laughs, and
Mm.
we brought the comedy into day and night into the lives of what happened in the store, so that it wasn't such a big deal
Yeah.
when things were weird. So the
Yeah.
weirdest thing, that when I first opened, the weirdest thing was I had these men in suits show up,
Mhm.
and I thought it was the IRS coming to take me away, because I didn't know. I was doing my sales tax, and I was kind of rounding, and kind of like I didn't have the point of sale and
Yeah.
know what the heck I was doing. But I was
Yeah.
making money, but and I was kind of explaining it, but rounding it, whatever. And it turned out to be that it was President Clinton, and it was his bodyguards that come in first, the Secret Service or whatever it is, and then he
Nice.
came in.
Yeah.
And he spoke at Glendale Community
That's
College,
cool.
and then he ate at Rocky Cola, and then he came in. We gave him gifts, and it was funny because I remember telling my main sales lady, I said, "Should I run?" Like I was terrified. Yeah, I really, like, oh my God, they're gonna take me away. And the next day I hired a CPA. So that was the learning. And I said, you
Yeah.
learn the numbers.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm not even going to try anymore, because no, those
Yeah.
guys.
That's the time. Yeah.
So, and we had the best laughs. So when
Yeah.
you're in outside of comedy in life, to bring that
Yeah.
to business right now, to bring
Mhm.
it. If you're listening in and you have a business or you work somewhere, think about the energy that we need right now to keep everybody in good spirits during this
Yeah.
time, working with different. Okay, now you got to have the mask back on, now you got to take it off, no, put it back on. It's
Yeah.
tough, it's a crazy time.
It is.
And
It
so
is.
to have team building and fun and laughter at work or at home, parents listening in, to bring that into the home so that your kids are like, okay, we can laugh again, we can play, just have a family
Yeah.
time where you go to the
Yeah.
beach and play and don't think about all that's going on so much, so that the kids are like, okay, it's all right, we're safe, we're
Yeah.
having fun. And
Yeah.
it's that will help with grades, that will help with productivity at work, it helps
Absolutely.
with the sleep at
Amen.
night. Yes, so it's
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
important to have fun.
Absolutely.
I'm
All
like,
that. All
really,
that.
fun is probably my what is it? Love and connection and fun are for me,
Yeah.
like different human needs or whatever. And
Yeah.
so fun is very important in my life, and even going through the serious
Absolutely.
times, you find something to laugh about, and it just gives everybody a little bit of peace.
Yeah, all that. And I think such a big thing for me, kind of on that similar topic, is for me, it's important to see the humor in everything,
Hmm.
even tragedy. There's comedy in tragedy, and sometimes that makes for some of the funniest things if you can pull something out of there. I think everything is funny if you can look at it from the right perspective.
Yes.
Me and my brothers, we think we can make a joke out of anything. I was 20 years old, laying in a hospital bed after I had a heart attack and didn't know what was going to happen next, and we were still making jokes about it, about having a heart
Um,
attack. Not like making jokes about
yeah.
other things while I'm in the hospital, making jokes about the situation at hand. And
Right.
I mean, maybe that made it easier for me to cope with it, but also, you know, I think there's humor in every situation. Even no matter how sad it is, there's always something funny that can be said about it to lighten the mood and just raise your spirits. And I think for me personally, that's such a big big thing in my life. And I know a lot of people personally that disagree with me on that. That they think you can't make jokes about this or that or whatever it may be. And to me, comedy is an art, and art is
Hmm.
subjective, and everyone's got their own flavor. Um, some people want their art to look real, and some people want it to, look like a mess. Like, wait, hang on, there we go. That I'm like trying to mirror myself,
Yeah,
but
I
not at
see
the
it.
same
Yes,
time.
yes, yes.
So yeah, and I think comedy is the same way. Sometimes you can make jokes about what's real and what's a mess, and it can be really funny.
Hmm.
And for someone like me, I need that. I need to be able to make light of anything. It's know a couple of people who are doctors, and some of them don't like to joke about patients, and some of them do. And the ones that
Hmm.
do, they say it kind of helps them not get attached to their patients and kind of make light of the situation, because that's a tough job whenever you're trying to save lives, and sometimes it doesn't happen. So it's you can kind of find comfort in whatever it may be, if you can make a joke about it, or kind of lighten the mood for yourself. Some people say it may be disrespectful to some people, and that's their opinion, and that's okay to think that way. It's just not the way I think. And I think it's nothing is off limits when it comes to comedy, as long as it's funny. But if it's not
Yes.
funny, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
try something else.
Right, right. I mean, I'm really bad in the sense that I will find myself laughing all by myself. Some stupid thing will happen. Something will fall,
That's a
or I
good
don't
thing.
know. I'll lock myself out. Some crazy thing, and I will just
Yeah,
start laughing. And it's like, and then I
definitely.
realize it's not a big deal. It's so funny. It's stupid. I'll say, and that's
Yeah,
how I
same.
named this show originally. My house, my car, and I lost my cat, and my house and my car burned down in the Ventura fires, 2017.
Wow. Okay.
And my best friend came over to check on me the next day. I ended up staying at one of my, like, I had this little cabin up one of the canyons, Woolsey Canyon, where it's like a prefab home, and I had been
Yeah.
renting it out. So I'm sleeping in the like supply closet area that luckily had a toilet, no shower. And and so she comes over, oh my gosh, Sheila, you're okay. Oh my gosh. And I said, welcome to the Sheila Mac show. And I named this show because I was like, you know, you can't even make this shit up.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what happened. And we just started laughing.
Yeah.
I had just lost
That's
just about everything. And it was like, that was what I needed. It just took it to a different place and lightened the energy and helped me to move forward. And it was just sweet. And you know, we're both laughing and crying and laughing, and you know, it was that. And so it just gets us through these times.
Yeah, and I think that's such a cool thing to be able to do. You know, I've received like devastating news before and just been like, you got to be kidding me, you know, and you just kind of chuckle and you just like, okay, well, this is what it is. So, you know, let's don't let it get you down. It's kind of funny at the same time sometimes. I mean, there's obviously nothing funny about losing your house and your car and your cat. That's devastating, you know. But at the same time, sometimes you're just like, what can you do besides laugh? You can't you can't cry your house and your cat back to life, you know. So sometimes you just try to see the light.
There's definitely, I mean, there was some ups and downs, and I was like, wow, you know, you can't. I don't think I was depressed because I don't really I'm not a person that goes to that. But I did go through a grieving process for sure. And it's very subtle. And for those people that struggle with depression, that's more something they have in their life more often. It's kind of a secret little thing that slowly you don't realize, little bit at a time. The next thing you're like, oh my gosh, how did it get this bad? I got disorganized, or I just didn't give a darn, or whatever happened. And so bringing that little bit of laughter back, or checking in on people you love and care about when you feel sad.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's
not even about you. When I was sad, I would call people, how you doing?
Same. I used to do that too. I used to always check on my friends, and I still do, but especially whenever I have moments where I'm feeling low, you know, it's always important to reach out and just check on other people. And I see a lot of people who they get feeling down. And this is like stuff I really see on social media a lot. I see people who they're upset because no one's checking on them, and you know, sometimes depending on the relationship, if it's, you know, someone who I'm not close with, I don't dig. But if it's someone I'm close with, I'll ask, you know, well, you know, you're upset, no one's checking on you. Are you checking on others?
Yeah,
you can't get upset about no one checking on you if you're not doing the same.
Yes, it's really interesting because I would be like, oh man, I'm feeling kind of down today. And I start calling people or texting, you know, depending on who it is. And some people want you to call, some people want you to text. And so I just start checking in. And by the end of a couple hours, I'm in a conversation with 2 or 3 people that are like, oh man, I was kind of feeling, I'm so happy you called.
And it makes both of you feel better.
Yes. So it really does make a big difference. And it's something that it's out of your head and in your heart. That's what Tony Robbins would say. Get out of your head and into your heart. And Tony has these videos, the breakthrough videos. He had I think it was like a TV mini series they did a long time ago. And he sends it to all his people that are training to be coaches with him. And so we watched all these videos with his training, and every single one, no matter what the person went through, whatever tragedy, difficulty in life, the first assignment was go out of your head and into your heart. And he would have the people volunteer and help or give back in one way or another. And that got them to a love space. And it's really hard when you're giving and helping and making people laugh, whatever it is you do. You can't be like grieving and depressed at that same instant. It's like you can only do one emotion.
And
definitely. It's healing. It was part of the healing process. And so, you know, go volunteer if you're listening in, or somehow, even if it's on the phone.
Yeah, find like for me, what helps, I gotta find a way to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always feel if I'm feeling any kind of down, like I'm luckily like I have four brothers. I've said that multiple times already, and my support system is strong, and I can always reach out to them or my parents, and you know to have people that are there for you, and I got enough friends that I'm really close with that you know when times are tough, you just feel that connection because we're so wired as humans to we're such social beings, and I think that's why the pandemic was so hard for everybody. You know, whenever we're so used to being social, and then that's taken away to a larger degree, and then now we're kind of trying to figure out how to reintegrate back into that social world. And you know, honestly, for me, it was easy getting back and going out and doing whatever it is and being around people. Like I love it. I'm thrilled that things are starting to open back up. But I do know and see a lot of people who are having a tough time adjusting to getting back into that after a year and a half of, you know, semi to strict lockdown, going back and forth and whatever it may be. And I know people who were like really kind of scared during this pandemic and didn't really
Yeah.
take the time to be around family and friends. And like I said earlier, I did. Me and my brothers were barbecuing every weekend. We weren't inviting other people around but you
Right.
know, this was kind of a thing like, well, this is family. This is me and my brothers. This isn't like extended family. Like this isn't like the high risk. Like our grandma's not there, and like you know, it's like me and my brothers. We're all in our 20s and 30s, and so you know, it was kind of like, well, we know the risk we're taking. If we're gonna come barbecue at my brother's house and be around each other and have a good time. And luckily I had that because I know so many people who didn't, and that made things so much easier for me and all my brothers to be able to still have that. And you know, I'm just so thankful and so blessed that I'm in such a good position and have you know such a strong family tie with my brothers. And you know, we're all best friends, and that was such a benefit for me, and I'm incredibly thankful for it.
Yes, yes, so good. Now, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your 10-year-old self to prepare you for these days and for your life? What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh man, be humble. Be humble.
Mhm.
I was a really smart kid, and I was one of them kids I thought I knew everything. And so yeah, 10-year-old me especially, just be humble, man. You don't not only do you not know as much as you think you know, you know, considering how many things there are to know, you practically don't know anything at all.
Yeah,
So
wow. That's a
just
good.
I was just telling him to be humble because the kid version of me was not. Um,
Mm,
so yeah, that's what I would have needed to hear when I was that young. And luckily, you know, me and my brothers, we check each other on things a lot. Especially now that we're older, and you know we can recognize those things, and we're not. It's not because you're a kid and you're close in age with all your brothers. Things you fight over everything, so things can turn into a fight real quick.
yeah.
I don't know how you were or your kids were, but me and my brothers, you know, we uh, kids, you know, just being kids, and everything turns into an argument if you're criticizing someone in a way that's not. I mean, it can be constructive, but you know, we used to come at each other kind of aggressively, so you ain't really trying to hear it. But yeah, I would just tell my 10-year-old self, be humble and yeah, just relax, just relax.
Mm. Yeah, when you think about children, after I stopped doing the gift stores, I worked as a teacher.
Hmm.
And at my kids' school, I did Waldorf schools, and
Okay, cool.
Montessori. And so it was really
Yeah,
different. And I'm telling you, that's the toughest audience. You get a group of 30 first graders. They
I
will
bet.
tell you what's wrong with your hair, what's going
Yeah,
what like they will
yeah,
they do not hold back, and they will tell you the
yeah,
truth in a loving, beautiful way sometimes, like the good parts, but they will
yeah.
not leave out the bad parts.
Kids are
And
mean. Kids
they are a tough
mean.
they're a tough one. Toughest
Kids
group
are
I've
mean.
ever dealt with.
Oh yeah, I
As-
bet. It's funny you say that because I wrote I have a stand up set about how kids are mean, and how we should send kids to war instead of adults because of how
Yeah.
mean kids are. And it's kids are they're mean. They don't care. And a lot of time, like you said, it's not really intentional. They'll say it in a nice, loving way, but it's because they're just being honest, and they're brutally honest sometimes.
Yes. In fact, I remember my first grade or kindergarten. I can't remember which one it was, but the first time I actually went to school, as a little kid, my grandparents owned sportswear, Catalina sportswear. So they made bras and swimsuits. So the cover of my book has a bra, bootstraps and bra strap. That's kind of a memory of all that. I told my teacher she needed a new bra. And she needed to talk to me.
Nice.
And then my teacher told my grandma, and my grandma was like, okay. And the next day she sold her a bra. And so it was like, all right, really? And so, but I was copying my parents because grandma would be like, oh, honey, let's go talk over here with the ladies. And she'd say, oh, let me fit you with this nice new bra. It's so much better. And so I was just copying what I saw. And it was just, that's how you have a conversation with somebody. So, it's kind of crazy.
Trying to figure that out and navigate life as a kid. And it's kind of clueless and trying to figure things out. And sometimes things like that happen. And it's super funny now. Your teacher may not have thought it was funny at the time.
Yeah. Oh, no. Well, she ended up loving grandma and getting a few bras. And then the other started buying from her. It was ridiculous, but it was interesting how that happened. But kids, they're so honest, and it is something that's it's a good thing. And maybe if we stuck with honesty in a certain way, like think about kids, they also laugh. They can laugh. They can get into a fight with their best friends or their siblings, and then they're hugging and laughing.
They're so resilient.
Yeah, it's over. Like 5 minutes later, it's like, what are you talking about? We're best friends again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And right now, more than ever, I think we need that to see the humanity in each of us. And this is a global pandemic. It's a global time that we all need to come together with that love, with that lightness, with that forgiveness that kids have. And just find the commonality, because we're all going through this together. So if you got up this morning and you got dressed and you did something, you're doing pretty darn good.
Definitely. And it's also important to note, for anyone listening, like I was saying earlier, I get up at 5 a.m. every day. I meditate, and then I do the Wim Hof breathing techniques, and then I work out. And first thing I do when I get up is make my bed, and I do all those things pretty much every day. But also it's important to know it's okay to have days where you're not feeling your best. It's okay to have moments of weakness. It's okay, if you're in a great routine and you're doing this every day, and then tomorrow you're just not feeling it and you want to lay in bed till 8 o'clock in the morning instead of 5 a.m. It's okay to have those moments of weakness. It's just important to do whatever you got to do and get your mind right to get back to it the day after. If you're gonna sleep in today, then tomorrow you can't. So it's those moments of weakness that they make us human. We all have that. Even the world's highest achievers. Like if you think these people at the tip top, they don't have their moments of weakness, you're fooling yourself. They're human too. We all go through that.
Yes, and I think for moms listening in, this is really important, because now you got your kids home and they're homeschooling, and you got extra people and plates and things going on. And a lot of times you can have a guy and a lady, you go visit a lady's house, and guess what? There's a different level of expectation on cleanliness and perfection, or whatever the heck you want to call it.
Yeah, there is.
Keeping things perfect is morally neutral. It's not really like a requirement to be a good mom or to be a good person.
Right.
And laughed with your kids and took care of their needs when they were scared or going through something or difficulty adjusting to being at school and home or whatever's going on. You know what? You did a good job. Or dad, now you got your kids home and things are different. So let that be okay. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, hey, come over. It's never perfect. But I
Yeah,
always say
yeah.
my
My,
wildly
my
imperfect
house is never
life.
perfect. I make my bed every day, but sometimes there's laundry on that bed.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
It's like, but there
we
is
all have our
something else.
moments.
And it's like, but to forgive yourself and laugh about it and say, okay, it's all
Yeah,
good. Did I
yeah,
do, did I help someone else? Did I contribute? Did I,
yeah.
do things that when I go to sleep at night, it made a difference? I'm
Hmm.
good. And
Yeah,
it's never perfect. And that's okay because the standard has changed. We've just had so much put on us as a
yeah,
society in our world, and so many changes so fast that we got to give ourselves a little more breathing space. And that means your neighbors, your friends,
hmm,
whoever it is, go with forgiveness or understanding, because you don't know what they were, how
yeah,
hard it was. They showed up, or they
yeah.
did whatever they did to say hello to you. Don't,
Hmm.
don't have those big expectations. Just have that love, because that's going to really
Yeah,
help. I really
yeah.
feel.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, I'd love to hear about how people can watch your shows or hear your comedy and connect with you more.
Yeah. So as far as the shows, like I said, we haven't put a ton of content out in the last year or so. Like once the pandemic rolled around, we kind of really dedicated so much of our time to packaging these shows together. Like I was saying, we have a pitch with Netflix in a few weeks, so it's been more so about building relationships with people and reaching out and seeing what we can do, what we can collaborate on, and things like that. So we don't have a ton of content available right now. We have projects that we're kind of working on the back end that aren't ready to put out there for the world yet. Um, but so our company's called Riot Comedy. So if you search like Riot Comedy, our Instagram is our biggest page. We also have stuff on YouTube. Um, but so we were making a show about the NBA for a long time because we're diehard NBA fans, and so we were just making fun of the whole world and the NBA news cycle and everything that goes on there. In my stand-up comedy, I don't have anything out there right now because I'm building a catalog. So I have things, but I don't have it available yet. So I'm more so waiting for the clubs to open back up, and then I'm gonna start pushing the comedy really hard. So once I have every kind of like my ducks in a row, I'll come back and I'll say, hey, you can go to TrentonHudson.com or wherever, and you can see
Yeah.
a whole lineup of stuff. Because I'm not in a big hurry to put out, you know, 10-20 minutes of clips.
Hmm.
I'm more so focused on getting a. I want to put a ton of stuff out there at once, so you can really sit back and watch and laugh, and hopefully it'll resonate with you. And then the coffee, if anyone needs something healthy, caffeine free, it's called Korma with a K, Korma. You can go to kormacafe.com. And if you're looking for something like that, then we got you. And again, I'm not here to try to convince you to not drink coffee. If you love coffee, stick to it. But if you don't want the caffeine, Korma's here for you. And yeah, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll come back though once we got some more content out for everybody.
Awesome. Yes, that's great. All right. Well, thank you, Trenton, for being a guest on the show. And
Hey,
for
thank you
those
so
tuning
much.
in, for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. All right.